Hello everyone, welcome to this next session on ABAP on HANA. In this ABAP on HANA come S4 HANA technical training, we will be touching upon the most important concepts related to this new technological world of S4 HANA. Before we begin this demo session on ABAP on HANA and S4 HANA technical training, I would like to start this demo session with introduction of ERP software and the evolution of ERP. What are all the trends you are seeing in the market at this point of time? Where the exact market of SAP technical consultant is moving towards? If you are a BW consultant, if you are an ABAP developer, if you are a Fiori developer or dialog programmer, or if you are a portal consultant, or you are probably working on HANA, you are seeing a shift towards S4 HANA as the product in your company and around you. And a lot of you needs this technical skill set to be able to adapt with the changing need of the market. Most of you have already seen my video on YouTube about how to become SAP full stack developer. That is the inspiration for us to look at this session and have a deep dive inside ABAP on HANA. In this course, we will start from very basic to very advanced level of training on ABAP on HANA concepts. The important to note that this course has zero prerequisite in terms of HANA knowledge. If you are an ABAP developer, or if you are a BW on HANA developer, or a BW consultant, or a BO consultant, this course is for you. There is zero HANA knowledge required to be able to part of this batch, because we will also touch upon introduction of HANA and multiple things in this course. A promise from my side of no copy paste. Most of you have attended a couple of other demo sessions, or you would have seen some demo sessions on YouTube. You would have realized that most of the trainers who are teaching you today, they do a lot of copy paste of code. You would see a promise from my side, no copy paste, because copy paste is not the right way of learning things. We will talk about multiple variety of real-time scenarios in this course. We'll cover a couple of lined up scenarios like open item analysis scenario in ABAP, IDOC dashboard scenario, S4 HANA end-to-end scenarios, and ultimately converting your ABAP on HANA applications, turning into a Fiori applications, and being able to give it to users for their consumptions. We'll also talk about building smart filter Fiori applications, smart Fiori applications on Web IDE full stack in SAP Cloud Platform. We'll discuss about CDS VOP of integration. Once again, these are just highlights of this course. There is a lot more you are going to learn. If you are an ABAP developer since about a year or 2 years, you are seeing also a trend shift into the industry. Everybody is moving towards S4 HANA. This course is definitely going to help you. The most important topic for this course, where we'll be spending on most of the time, is CDS Views. As a BW consultant in the past, you used to develop the information models like attribute views, analytical views, and calculation views. And now we are turning them into CDS views. This is where companies are demanding you to build CDS views. We'll discuss more detail about CDS views, including OData, which are built on top of CDS. As part of this course, you will also learn and gain the capability of SQL scripting, which is very unique, and it will make you in a strategic position in your company if you learn SQL script. The motivation behind this course, as you can see on my picture of this session, a bulb. Just imagine innovation plays how important role in our life. A single bulb which was invented late by Thomas Edison has enlightened the whole world. With this single innovation, you can see today humans have achieved to a great era of human being with lots of new stuff coming into market every day. Just imagine what would have happened if Thomas Edison wouldn't have invented a bulb like this. Where would have been the human beings? So I would myself believe with a great passion that innovation and learnings are very important in our life. So till today, if you are unable to learn ABAP on HANA, my promise to all of you, by end of this course, you will be proudly be able to work with any S4 HANA project with ABAP on HANA knowledge. Complete end-to-end training we will be discussing. So let's begin our demo session with our first slide, an evolution of SAP R3 system. In 1979, SAP introduced its first R2 version. R stands for real-time two-tier architecture. Later on, this was converted to R3 architecture, real-time three-tier architecture, so-called presentation, application, and database layer. The key advantage of R3 architecture is to plug and play any layer at any point of time. Today, you are using Oracle database. You can throw it away and plug IBM DB6. You can throw it away and plug SAP HANA DB. Then SAP came into the era of business software. It's been there in industry since quite a long time. This is the biggest industry player in ERP softwares. And then they have come up with the business suite. The suite is suite of services, suite of applications, which caters to most of the departments across 25 different industries. They have solutions. They have industry-specific solutions for insurance to banking, for oil and gas to the automotive services or automation or manufacturing industries. Apart from that, they have core ECC components like financials and controlling, materials management, production planning, supply chain relationship, all of that. And this comes with a suite of applications, become business suite. And now we are today in the era of SAP S4 HANA. In S4 HANA, S stands for Simplified Suite. So this is where SAP is moving its new enterprise, so-called digital core, or an intelligent enterprise, which provides all these business applications in this new suite, which is simplified. We will be discussing in detail, in context of S4 HANA, what is the technology behind S4 HANA? What are all the technical artifacts as a developer you should know while working with S4 HANA? Not just S4 HANA, but also Suite on HANA. There are these two products which are very important for our course we will be targeting towards. So Suite on HANA is just replacing your current existing database which you have on ECC with SAP HANA database. What it means for you as an ABAP developer, what kind of work you will be doing in your company if your company just moving to new database called HANA. And what it means for you if your company is moving to S4 HANA. What is that task? What is those activities which you as an ABAP developer should be aware or should be performed into the system when you're going to S4 HANA? We will be discussing all of that throughout this course. So that's the evolution of ERP. So just a quick data, what is the motivation behind learning ABAP on HANA and S4 HANA? Very important for all of us to understand the motivation where the industry trend towards which trend industry is going. You can already see SAP being the largest enterprise software company in the world, 390K plus customers, 193 countries they are serving into. Already their database, which is so-called an in-memory database, we will also be discussing about this in a minute. The SAP HANA has 20K customers already with the live implementation. SAP Cloud serving 150 million users at this point of time. And they also have a cloud platform called SAP Cloud Platform, which has 1.5 billion hits a day. Together with that, SAP's new intelligent suite, which is so-called S4 HANA. This is a product, just like ECC is a product. Suite on HANA is a product. Business Suite is a product. You have Suite on HANA, a simplified suite, which is S4 HANA. It has 8.7 thousand customers at this point of time live into the world. They have a $2 trillion transactions with 3 million suppliers business network available at this point. With 25 industries served, with intelligent enterprise and lots of advanced machine learning algorithms in place for 25 industries. So these trends clearly indicates the whole world is moving towards S4 HANA. And as an ABAP developer, the question comes in my mind, what is that I need to do to upgrade my skills? Since whole industry is going in this direction, and most of my companies whom I'm serving or giving my services towards, they are going in this direction. What is that I need to do to upgrade myself? What is that I need to do to increase my salary prospects today? What is that I need to do to grow more into my career as an individual developer? Keeping myself into the shoe of an ABAP developer or BW or HANA developer, where is the industry going and what all the technical knowledge required to update? That's what is our main goal. In this course, we will be doing pure technical programming stuff. So this course is for developers, is for architects, also for the people who are more related to functionality. They can also learn coding now, and they will be able to do things which nobody else can do nearby them. Moving next, you can see here, this is where SAP is moving towards more into the direction of an intelligent enterprise, where they have suite of products, lot of different products coming up, SAP S4HANA being the most important one, with SAP C4HANA, the CRM for HANA. Then SAP have also acquired other companies like SuccessFactors, Ariba, Concur, Fieldglass, and all the integration between these products. This is the main capability of SAP. It's all about integration. It's done with the help of SAP Cloud Platform. So this is where the industry is going, guys. And as an ABAPer, as a developer, or as an architect, or as a senior or principal developer, what is that I need to upgrade in myself to be able to cater and understand what's going on around me? With that, let's begin with the introduction of R3 architecture and quickly see in technical stack what has been evolved over a period of time. With the recent years, what was evolved into the technical stack. So once again, coming back to very basics, the three-tier architecture. If we look at here, the three-tier architecture, we have these three layers: the presentation layer, the application layer, and finally be the database layer. So this is what we have learned initially whenever we started building our career initial days of our SAP learning. This is what we have been taught as the first step moving towards ERP system or SAP ERP. The first layer is your presentation layer. This presentation layer includes SAP GUI. Using SAP GUI, you connect to something called your application layer, which offers you the suite of services, be it like MM01, BA01, all the transactions to create sales order, purchase order, materials, purchase requisitions, ledger entries, all of that you will be doing with the help of application layer. The application layer was backed by a programming language called ABAP, programming language which is used the most of the time. As an ABAP developer, you will be developing these applications or modifying the standard applications delivered by SAP. So this is what the ABAP language you were using in the application layer, and backed by the technical SAP platform called SAP NetWeaver. SAP NetWeaver provides the runtime for all your ABAP programs. You cannot run your ABAP program in a notepad file, just like you need C compiler or Java runtime environment to run a Java application. Similarly, to run an ABAP application, you would need SAP NetWeaver. In simple words, SAP NetWeaver is the technical platform for all ABAP-based applications. In fact, all the SAP applications, they all run on NetWeaver. And this is why it's also known to be the middleware layer, because it sits in the middle of database and the presentation layer. Then comes is your database layer, which is responsible for storing all the data related to your enterprise. And now we are seeing a trend which indicates a change in across all three layers. The first change which you see SAP is bringing on with the help of new user experience. So they are talking about removing, or they are talking about improving their current user experience, the transactional applications which are running on SAP GUI, wants to move into the direction of mobile, because the new front end is today mobile, tablet, desktop, smart devices. These are all the new front end. And to be enabling these new front ends, the clear direction for moving the front end layer is to the browser, or into the mobile, or into the tablets, or into the desktop. And that's where the front end layer is getting changed to SAP Fiori. That's the new front end layer, where these applications are so-called responsive web applications. They are able to adapt themselves according to the devices, and you can access them anywhere, anytime, on any device, including any platform or any browser. That's the whole idea of changing the presentation layer, the improved user experience. Then coming to the application layer, this layer is also innovating. We have got a lot of new components to be part of this layer. In order to support development and design of Fiori applications, we have got gateway layer, which allows us to develop services, so-called OData services. There are lots of changes happening in this layer as well. There are new features coming to this this layer. Features like new syntax, features like new improved tools, and new features which allows you to do a completely different programming paradigm. For example, CDS views, AMDP, ADBC, and stuff like that. We will be discussing all of that in this course. Finally, the database layer is so-called getting changed and replaced with SAP's own in-memory database called HANA. HANA database, being the primary database for this application layer now, allows us to connect our application server to HANA, and that exactly becomes ABAP on HANA. You can see your ABAP programming language is now capable of getting executed or getting run on the HANA database. It's an in-memory database which allows you to now do more things which were earlier not possible in the past. So that is the technology, guys, which we will be focusing throughout this course. This course is mainly designed for developers, not for if you want to learn simple finance or simple marketing, all that stuff. This course is not for you. This is mainly for technical people, those who want to become developers, those who want to become developers in S4 HANA or Suite on HANA, or you want to upgrade your ABAP skills. You were earlier doing a BW related stuff like building views and stuff like that, and now your company is asking you to develop CDS views for analytics. In that case, this course is for you. This course is also for front-end designers, for those who are building Fiori applications. And now your company is asking you to build smart Fiori applications, which are completely driven by metadata provided by semantic-rich data model called CDS. There may be many jargons which you are hearing for the first time. Don't worry about that. This is just a demo. We will go in detail about each of that stuff, and we will be ultimately creating those things into the system, line by line, every single line of code. So that's the evolution happening across all three layers, guys. Our main focus in this course will be to touch upon in this middle layer, where we will be learning all the new features, all the innovations which has happened over a period of time in this middleware layer. We will also be discussing more about HANA database, because my assumption for all of you is that you guys have no clue about HANA. I will also cover a lot of topics related to HANA, like information modeling, what is HANA database, the architecture of HANA database, the index server architecture, the engines which are part of HANA database, and SQL scripting. Then we will learn how to consume all those objects which we will build in HANA database into the ABAP layer with the bottom-up approach. And then we will also learn about top-down approach, where we will be creating objects in ABAP layer which will get replicated into HANA. And finally, how do you display the results or information to the user in terms of a Fiori application using Web IDE tool? Don't worry about this. You may be hearing some of the tooling as new things, but we will discuss about these tools. How do you connect to the system? How do you work out with the system? All of this we will be learning throughout this course. All right, let's move on and discuss about what is HANA. So we'll start with very basics, no jargons, nothing advanced. My assumption for all of you that you are just core ABAP developer. With just basic core ABAP knowledge, it's okay to proceed with this course. Some of you have a myth that I need to know ABAP to learn CDS views. Those who are working on BW, no guys, you don't need to. We will cover CDS views in this course. And good news is if you are from BW background, you do not need to know ABAP for learning CDS views. It's a completely different syntax, nothing related to ABAP. All right. So we will be learning CDS views also in this course. So majority of the BW people also joining these days my courses on ABAP on HANA. Reason being, they've been asked to learn CDS views to expose the analytics part, which was earlier there into the BW system separately. And now due to S4 HANA, both the BW system and the transactional system, your ECC system got combined together, and everything is being done with a single application layer on top of SAP HANA. Becomes ABAP on HANA. So let's begin, guys, and talk about what is HANA and why we're using HANA as our primary database on top of our application server ABAP. HANA stands for High Performance Analytical Appliance. Why it is called an appliance? Why not it's called a database? Yeah, very important. Before we understand HANA, let's try to understand how basic computer works. So in your computer, we have central processing unit, and this central processing unit is nothing but a microprocessor. This microprocessor is fabricated using semiconductor electronics, and it has capability to perform operations. If you remember your college days, we used to write operations like move A, comma B. In our engineering days, there was a subject called 8084. IC 8084. What was that? That was a microprocessor. And you used to pass instruction like move A, comma B, which is like moving data from one register of CPU to another register of CPU. That is what central processing unit does. This is the brain of a computer. This is responsible for doing computation of what we need. But CPU has a very limited powers in terms of storage. It cannot store large amount of data. To avoid that, we plug something called RAM next to the CPU. It's called random access memory, or also known to be the primary memory. Now the CPU has a direct connection to the RAM, and it can quickly access the data from the RAM, pull the data and load it into the CPU register and do the processing and switch back the data to the RAM. But the RAM are again built with the costly fabrication techniques, so they are very, very costly. Yeah, this is the reason if you want to store a large amount of data, we don't again use RAM. We only use RAM for the most important or the operations which are currently being executed. The ultimate data store for a computer is being done in something called hard disk drive, HDD. And HDD is where you keep all the data. And as and when you need, you are actually loading the data to the RAM, and from the RAM to the CPU, and then you're processing that ultimately over there. So if you really look at the flow, the data flows from the hard disk to the RAM, and from the RAM to the CPU registers, and ultimately in the CPU it gets processed, it flows back to the RAM and then stored in the hard disk. Now in terms of cost, when you talk about, if you really see the cost of the memory, the RAM has a higher cost and less processing time. On the other side, you see hard disk has a lower cost but large processing time. So the time taken to process the data in the RAM is less, and the time taken to process data in hard disk is more. In terms of cost, if you look at, the cost of the RAM is high as compared to the cost of the hard disk. Yeah. But over a period of time, guys, with the improved fabrication technique and more automation, you see the cost of the RAM has reduced drastically over a period of time. I still remember my schooling days when I bought my first iPod with just for 256 megabyte of storage space, and that cost me about 45 or 450 US dollars. And now today, in just 45 US dollars, I am able to get a memory storage, a fast storage disk or pen drive, I would say, with 1 terabyte of storage space. That's the magic has happened over a period of time. That's the magic of innovation. That's the magic of improved fabrication technique, which is now possible for hardware makers to fabricate large amount of storage capacity in a small chip. So this is an innovation which has happened into the hardware industry, all the hardware players. And now the memory is available at a very cheaper rate as compared to last couple of years where it was very expensive. This has given a completely new direction for software designers and these large companies to innovate more into the software architecture as well. So the first improved innovation which we talk about is hardware innovation. What are all the hardware innovations which has happened over a period of time? The first innovation into the hardware is able to fabricate large amount of storage inside a small size of chip with cheaper cost. Yeah, this is completely possible. You might have also observed when you bought your first iPod and today you're buying a smartphones with terabytes of memory. It's very cheaper as compared to those which we used to bought in past days. That was the first hardware innovation. Again, once again, with the fabrication technique, it is also possible to embed multiple cores of CPU inside of one single chip. Yeah. Old days, you might have heard about Pentium 1, Pentium 2 processors, Celeron processors, right? And now we are hearing about processors with quad core processor. Quad means 4 cores. 4 cores of the CPU are fabricated in a single chip. That's a quad core processor. Octa-core processor. Octa-core means 8 cores of CPU are now fabricated in a single chip on a single machine. That's again advanced fabrication techniques, which makes it possible, guys. Yeah. So with this improved technique of fabrication, each core of the CPU, you can see there are 4 cores here. It's a quad core processor. So each core of the CPU can itself act like a processor, which means this allows a massive parallel processing of instructions possible with the help of this. And more the size of core, more the memory you can attach to this. You remember the simple formula? With 8084 IC, what was the maximum size of RAM you can attach to this? The data bus size was 16-bit. If the data bus size is 16-bit, you can attach a memory of 2 raised to power 16 to a CPU. This was possible. And now with increasing number of cores, increasing number of size of address bus, it is also possible, feasible to connect large number of size, large amount of memory to the CPU. Together with that, we have high availability systems now. We have Amazon Cloud, which gives you 24/7 zero downtime availability, which makes it possible that you are always safe due to power cuts, which will cause a loss if you keep the data in the RAM. So idea here is to keep all the data in a RAM because you have a cheaper RAM available. You can keep all the data into the RAM directly. You can process that data faster as compared to hard disk because pulling the data from hard disk to the RAM and RAM to CPU was costly. Now the software vendors have thought that why not we keep the data only for backup and recovery purpose in the hard disk, but we keep all the data in the RAM itself. So high availability makes it possible to keep all data also in RAM. So these are all the hardware innovations which makes it possible now software designers, the database designers to do more as compared to what they could do in past. They can keep all the data in the RAM, which can be processed much faster, and also parallelly because you have multi-core CPUs in place. That's about hardware innovation over a period of time in software industry, or in hardware industry, I would say. Then what are all the software innovations which has come up in these past recent years? So let's talk about software innovations. The first software innovation, I would say, operating system. Operating systems are now available with higher bit size. You might have heard about 32-bit operating system, 64-bit operating system, right? What does it mean? It indicates the speed by which the instruction can be pumped to a CPU. So you can see CPU works on these instructions. Yeah, CPU works on these instructions. How fast you can feed the instructions to a CPU. That's what this speed indicates. 64-bit operating system can speed up the processing, overall processing of your entire machinery, entire computer machinery, much faster as compared to a 32-bit operating system. It can feed instructions per second which have been fed to the system much faster speed as compared to the 32-bit operating system. So with improved operating systems availability, improved operating systems, it's also possible to speed up the entire set of operations. High parallelization of tasks possible at CPU core level. It is possible to design a system which allows you to do parallel processing, making optimum utilization of all the cores of the CPU. For example, if I write a query to select 4 columns from database table, I can divide that selection in all 4 cores. So one core will go and read one column, another core read another column, another core read another column, another core read another column. And at the end of it, I can join the result of all 4 cores and present it to the user. You would see this will significantly improve my performance and will be able to complete the operations which used to take in past huge time. So this is also possible with new software innovations to achieve maximum level of parallelization with multiple cores being available in a CPU. The third innovation in terms of database design is about insert only approach. What insert only approach? Insert only approach says that I'm not going to delete the data at all. Rather, whenever there is a request which comes to me to delete the data, I'm going to insert a new record with same primary key. And then you guys must be thinking, Anubhav, how is that possible that you insert a record with same primary key? Yes, guys, it's possible. It's because what you do is, suppose you have a table called employee, and in that employee table, you are inserting the data for your employees. And then primary key probably for that employee table is employee ID. So what you have is employee ID, employee name, and lots of other properties. What I would say is every database table, I would also introduce a field called timestamp. Yeah. When I introduce this field called timestamp, what I can do is whenever there is a record which is inserted, I insert a record with, let's say, timestamp. Right now it's 8 o'clock. Yeah. And then I would say some employee name is ABC. Over a period of time, let's say this record needs to be updated. The employee name have changed to DAE, maybe. Yeah. So what I do is, instead of finding the record back into the database, which is an overhead, to search the record and update the record, what I would do is I would insert another record with the same primary key with the latest timestamp as maybe 8:30 a.m. And when my read query goes into the system, what I would do is I will only read the records with the latest timestamp. I would not care or conveniently ignore the records which are there in the system with the lesser timestamp. Now this gives me 2 advantages. The first advantage is a search overhead initially is avoided, because if I have to update this record here, employee name, I would have to first find out this record, which is a search overhead. So this first search overhead, I am removing it. I don't have to search now. I have to blindly insert with the new timestamp. The second advantage is versioning. Usually in a ERP system, you would see there is a change document which is written, right? We always write a change document. A change document indicates that this data was changed from this date with this time to this time by this guy on this with this value to this value. That's what you got to write for legal purpose, for legal requirement. You always were writing a change document in a separate database table. You don't have to do that because now your data is written in the same table with the timestamp, and you already have a change history stored or naturally. You don't have to write or maintain a separate change record table or separate changes set table or so-called change record table or change document table and insert the data in a separate table altogether. So this also gives you an advantage of saving lot of unnecessary operation, unnecessary tables, which you used to store in the past for legal purpose. Your same table is capable of storing the data of both the changes and the actual transaction data. And that's how we can also reduce overhead and reduce footprint on memory. I hope this point is clear. How it is reducing the overhead, search overhead to update, delete the data, as well as also the footprint in terms of memory to write, change record and a completely different table. And last but not the least, the innovation in terms of storage capacity, the way we store the data is column store was introduced. Yeah, what is column store? We'll discuss it in a minute. And now if you look at, guys, you combine these two things, hardware innovation and software innovation. If you combine both of them, that gives a new generation database. So software innovation plus hardware innovation gives the complete outcome as something called HANA database. We call it as appliance. Now this is why it is called appliance, guys, because this is not just a software. It's not a normal database like Oracle database, which is a database. Here it's a software plus hardware innovation together combining, and that's why HANA is called appliance. It is not called a database, it's called appliance because it's both. It's not just a software, but it's also the hardware, which means you have to buy a certified hardware which says that yes, this is the minimum hardware requirement to be able to work on HANA, to be able to install, set up HANA in my company. That's very important. And now, guys, with the cloud world, it's also possible to install this HANA database, HANA in-memory database, also into a machine which is running on cloud, which is now giving a concept called HANA platform. This is why HANA is also known to be a platform now, because it can host applications. It has something called a lightweight application server. We will look at this one into our next chapter, where we will talk about the HANA architecture. It's now known to be HANA platform because it can also host applications, store the applications, and provide a runtime environment for different variety of applications like Node.js, Java, HTML5, Python. It can provide that runtime, guys, and that's how it becomes a platform, because it has an inbuilt application server also. We'll look at that once again into our chapter. Dedicated chapter is planned for HANA architecture, where we'll go into deep into the HANA DB, look at its architecture and understand how things are happening. So I hope next time when somebody asks you what is an appliance, why it's called to be an appliance, you have an answer, because not just a software, it's also a hardware innovation collabed with the software innovation. Now coming back to the point of column store, what is the advantage of column store and how it is different from the row store? So guys, typically the data in a database is stored in a row fashion. So just to write a record for sales order, how do you would be, it will be stored in the database. So it will be stored like 100, sales order number, let's say 100, or maybe sales order number is 1001. The sales organization is 0001. Then we have ship to party as ship 1, and then we have probably, let's say, the shipping point, or sorry, distribution channel as 01. That's my maybe first record of sales order. Similarly, the next record of sales order 1002. Ship, this is 1. Sales organization ship to party is 1, and shipping point or distribution channel is 02. And then we have 10003. Let's say it's 0002. Then we have shipping 2. Then we have.
Hello.
Yeah, please mute your line. I would request you. Thank you. So we will discuss the doubts towards the end of the class. I would give you all of you an opportunity to ask your questions. This demo is for 1 hour. Today it's our demonstration, so it's planned for 1 hour. Our next part of the demo, we will only do question and answer for next 1 hour, 2 hour. How much ever time you guys need, I will be spending that time. On every slide you can ask questions, and we'll have a complete dedicated question and answer round conducted. So please be patient. Just for another 20 minutes we will finish the demo, and then I will move towards taking up your questions. All right, so let's come back here. 1003 ship to party, and then shipping point and distribution channel, like that. And then we have 1004, and I'll say 0002 ship to party 2 again, and then we have 01. So that's my third record. And similarly, I would have more records. Maybe I'm just going to go back here down, and I will be adding here 5. I will be adding here 6. I'll be adding here 7. I'll be adding here 8, and so on. So maybe you have these many records in the system, and this is your data. Now, guys, let's look at a typical query. Suppose my requirement here is, okay, guys, I will also try to add here the total gross amount of the sales order. So let's say this is 300 euros. Yeah, for first sales order. The second sales order I would put as, let's say, 600 euros. And then I would put here for the third sales order, this gentleman over here, I would put here 1200 euros. And then I'll put for the fourth gentleman as 950 euros. The fifth one here we have got, let's say, 1500 US dollars. And then we have here for this one, maybe I'm just going to put 950 Indian rupees. And that's how maybe my record is. And the last one I will put as 870 US dollars. So this is my data. Now look at a typical query, guys, for a sales order. I want to calculate total of my sales amount. So hey, please database give me select. Please count a sum of my gross amount with the currency code from my sales order table, group by currency code. Look at this query, guys. So now, how does the database process this in case of a row store database? Okay, in a row store database, the data is stored in consecutive memory location. You can see the footprint or the replica of that memory location. In order to calculate the summation now, because you have given a query to database to sum the data now. So what database does, it goes on the top, starts from the first index, and it starts processing, travels through all the columns. It finds this currency code and the amount. Now it moves on, and travels through all the columns, and now it gets this guy. And now again it moves on, and it reaches here, it gets this guy. And now again it has to traverse through all the columns across completely, come back here, gets this particular 2 columns, and then move on, and then gets these guys, and let's move on, and then this guy finally, and at last 870 US dollars comes up. So in order to get the data of the certain columns, which is in this case currency code and gross amount, it has to traverse through all the columns, all the data which you have in the table. So ultimately the processing time to perform this query takes a lot of time. So as a result of that, in case of a row store, system has to traverse through all the data at all columns. Though it just needs certain columns, though it just needs the gross amount, it still has to walk through all the columns data, which is an overhead on the system. Now let's look at this same architecture or same data. I will want to draw this in a column store. So what is a column store? each column which you have in database table, assume as a tiny table. Okay, assume each column of your database table a tiny table. So how do you write in case of a column store? You can achieve this with the help of writing it as a tiny table. So let me convert this to a tiny table, a column store database. So now each column which you have is a tiny table. Imagine like that. So here, each column, so you have total 5 columns here depicted. So all the data is coming here. So now first column 10001. Like this, you've got your first column data. The second column data is that's your second column data. The third column data, however, is now again shift to party. So here it's 1, maybe 1, and then this guy is 2, and then we have 1. So that's my data in the third column. And then coming here, this 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 2. And then we have finally the amount, and maybe I'd say 300 US dollar, euros, and then we have 600, and then we have 1200, then we have 950, then we have 1500, and then we have 950, and then we have 870. So that's my data for the amount. Now watch out guys, the same query which I wanted to execute earlier, I would execute on a column store. Now, in this case, it doesn't have to traverse through these tiny tables. Yeah, really don't need this, because to calculate the total, I can simply directly jump to my tiny table, which is actually storing my sales order gross amount, and quickly traverse through this and total this data up and bring my data. So I have really saved a lot of time skipping this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy. And that creates really an amazing atmosphere for me to bring the data as fast as possible without really traversing through the too much of data. So system gets me this result in a shorter time, because the data traversal takes less time, because it doesn't have to traverse columns which are not in query. Yeah. So that's the advantage of column store, guys. Now, guys, let's look at another use case. Another use case where I'm saying select star from database table. So I'm telling the system, hey, can you please get me everything, all the columns? Star means get me all the columns. So in that case, the row store goes like this. It anyways traversing through all the columns. It just goes through them, and it simply pumps you the data all over here. Very good, nice. But in the column store now, to construct the tuple or construct the record, once again, it has to now traverse through these tiny tables and all the tiny tables, and then it is going to construct that record. Now the column store in this case is very expensive, because it has to now go through multiple tables to reconstruct your data. So in that case, the column store is more expensive as compared to row store, because row store, the data is already available at consecutive locations. It doesn't have to really go outside the purview of the memory. But in case of column store, the database has to jump over the tiny tables to reconstruct the record. Right, guys? It's very expensive in case of column store. As a result, it's expensive. Now, my question to all of you guys, my first question to all of you, what do you think? How many columns in Mara table? Anybody? What is your opinion? Have you know Mara table? Anyone? Any ABAP developer here? Mara table, material master table. What do you think? How many number of columns we have in the Mara table? Around what number of columns? Let's quickly check it out in the system. So I will jump to my S4 HANA system, which is set up for this training. I'll just quickly go inside the system. And let's have a look at the Mara table. And now you can check, guys, it has around 319 columns. Yeah. So the answer of this question is I have about 319 columns. First question is answered. Now my second question, do you need all columns always for your requirement? Who will answer this question? Anyone? Who will answer this question?
No.
You can unmute your line. Do you always need all the columns of the Mara for your processing?
No.
Not always.
No? How many of you say no?
Most of the times we don't use all the columns. The required columns only we get the access.
Absolutely, guys. You don't need it. So what do you think? If you are getting so many advantage with column store, and you really don't need all the columns all the time in your reports or programs or analytics or anywhere, which approach you prefer between row store and column store? What do you think? Which approach you will prefer between row store and column store?
Hi, Anubhav. This is Manikanta. While doing the programming, we will set it as a row store for this self-star like that. Is it correct, Anubhav?
No. Okay. First, please answer my questions. Now, we know point one, this is answer is no. Now, what do you think? Which approach is better? If we don't need all the columns, we only need certain columns, and most of the queries we write, we would probably doing a totaling for analytics purpose, or doing an average calculation, or doing a maximum value, minimum value. We only work with certain columns. We don't need to use this data again and again. We want to use only certain columns, and on which we want to apply some operation, which is the optimal way of storing. What do you think is the right way of storing? Which approach is better in these two?
Yeah, we can write the specific required columns on the select query, is it?
Yes, we can, of course. That's what we can do as an ABAPer. You can always write the columns here, right? That's what we will be learning anyways. Don't worry. If you don't know about select queries, we'll learn.
It's a column store.
Yes, of course. The answer,
it's column.
Unanimous answer is column store. Is better in terms, and that's what SAP have done. Now, guys, watch out. I request you to please mute your line. Let me complete this topic. Please mute your line. Thank you so much. So, guys, this is one advantage which we are all understood clearly. The column store is better as compared to row store, because we never need all the columns in our operations, and we most of the time operations like summing the data, totaling the data, calculating the number of records which are there, all these things we want to do. Column store is definitely an advantage. Coming to the next point, how column store also helps you guys. See here, there are repeating number of values. See, they're repeating. They are same values. See here, ship to party, sold to party. They are repeating. And if you go to ERP table, look at the data in Mara, you would find most of your columns, most of your columns in your database table are also repeating set of values in the columns. Okay. When you go to this Mara database table, execute, look at some data. You can see the data is repeating. See here. You can see this material group, material type. They are repeating set of values. They are non-unique values. You see, FERT. It's almost every material. It's repeating. See here, MBrush. Everywhere it is same value. There are lots of repeating set of values. In case of row store, guys, try to understand, try to listen carefully. In case of row store, no matter what you have to store that value. But in case of column store, you can avoid storing this value multiple times. You can just say, hey, 0001, this is a sales organization. It is stored at row number 1. row number 2, row number 4, row number 8, row number 10. 0002, it is stored at row number 3, row number 5, row number 7, row number 9. Yeah, you have avoided storing the values again and again. Can you imagine, guys, in a ERP system with one single table, one single column, if this is the storage space you saved, how much more storage space you will save in other columns where you have repeating set of values. And most of the columns, if you observe, go back to your database table today, whichever area you are working, look at that database table, you will find a lot of repeating set of values. So you can avoid storing them again and again like it was happening in row store. So again, another advantage of column store is, point one, the access becomes faster. The first advantage is access is faster. You can process the data much faster. You can perform the aggregation on fly. You can also avoid storing the data multiple times, storing same data which is repeating multiple times. The data which you have to store is only one time, and at front of that you can put the index where all it is stored. You will save lot of memory space. Lots of memory saved. Third advantage, guys. So this was again third advantage. When you process the data, guys, numbers are processed by computer, by CPU much faster as compared to characters, right? Numbers can be processed faster by computer as compared to characters. So if you're storing these indices here and system has to read this data, system can read this data faster because you are reading indices, not the text data. You're reading indices, read is faster, and then corresponding to that indice, only one time you have to read the data to replicate it. So numbers are processed much faster. Faster than characters. In columns, in row store, you have to process these characters only. You have to process these characters. But here, since you are storing these indices, you can process with indices, and finally, when you want to replicate, just take the value and replace that. So you can play in the system, within the system, you can play with numbers. At the end, when you want to display to the user, you can result final text, which is corresponding to that number. That's another advantage. Fourth advantage, compression. You see, guys, you have achieved a compression. The storage space is less required in a column store as compared to row store, where sequentially it is stored. You can achieve a better compression. As a result of that, you need less storage space. As a result of that, your cost is also less. As a result of that, your processing increase, cost goes down, and as a result of that, you can keep the data in the RAM, guys, which could consider to be a costly one, but not that costly because hardware innovation is there, and you can store this data much cheaper rate in a lesser amount of data. Your memory footprint can drastically come down. When you look at ERP tables, most of the ERP table have repeating set of data. They're non-unique values. They're always same values, repeatingly coming in the database table. That's the advantage of column store. Next time somebody asks you in an interview, what is the advantage of column store? You can draw this exact PPT and explain them the advantage of column store. What are the benefits? Why SAP HANA, the default storage type for the database tables are column store. Where can we see this setting? Very easy. Go back to your database table. Go to the system. You can go to technical settings. And now here in the technical settings, you can see DB specific properties. Just go inside the DB specific properties, and you can see here, guys, the types of storage which can be chosen for now database table in an S4 HANA system or Suite on HANA system. And you see by default, it is converted to column store. That's your standard bara table. SAP already done that. Of course, if you're using your custom table, you got to do it yourself. Remember, this is a lot of work for a database to convert a row store table to column store and do this indexing, do this compression, and that may take time. So better you do this offline. I mean, the time when the system is not much utilized. System does it asynchronously though, but it's a work for database table. But this is where you can change for your custom table. For standard SAP table, we are not allowed to touch them. Of course, that's something which SAP will take care, and they are taking care of it nicely. You can see already they have converted their table to a column store automatically. You get this advantage free of cost, though you are using same ABAP program running on S4 HANA system. These advantages have come free for you automatically with S4 HANA or Suite on HANA system. With that, I am done with the demo. Unfortunately, due to lack of time, I could not show some programming example today. But guys, just to quickly show you what kind of applications we will be building, just to give you a quick highlight of the kind of application which I will be building at the end of this course. We will build a complete 3 to 4 end-to-end POCs with S4 HANA. So let me quickly show you one application which we had built with the last batch. So it was this dashboard report. So just show you guys a couple of things which you will be able to build towards the end of this course. How will it be looking like? So we'll be building first this kind of dashboard application. So let me just connect here with my user. So just to connect here, you can see this is the kind of application we will be building towards the end of the class, end of this course. And another maybe this one here, this list report, IDOC list report. So we will be building another this kind of Fiori application. It's a smart filter Fiori application. Just open that up, and there's another one. Which one is for hierarchical CDS scenario, which I will be introducing. So that also we will be building in a complete employee hierarchy. We will build end to end with the help of that. Yeah. When we open that report here, it's again asking my credentials. Of course, it's connecting to my real system, backend system, and just go inside. And now you can see we are going to build this kind of application also in the future. Yeah. So you will have all these search capabilities and all these features. So these are all the inbuilt features. We'll also build a transactional application using BOPF. In this, we will have the draft capabilities. We have capabilities for collaboration between the teams. We have offline capability. All these capabilities will also be there with this application. Once again, it's asking my credentials. So you can see they are all connecting to my real-time server from my local machine. And then we will be able to create records, manage records, create, read, update, delete records with this transactional application, doing validations, all this stuff we will be doing. So, you know, all F4 helps and all the stuff like that. We will be learning all these things. So these kind of applications ultimately we'll also building about 20 to 30 different variety of CDS views. The complete new programming language here you will learn in this course called SQL scripting, because that's something required for AMDP development, for SQL script program development, calculation view development, which are scripted calculation views. I will be covering SQL scripting also as part of this course. Once again, you can go to my website, onlinefioritrainings.com. Just find out when is the next batch. Of course, we are already starting this one. And here you can go and find out the course content for this complete course in ABAP on HANA and S4 HANA training. You can also look at a screenshot here for my existing batch, which was recently completed, to check the number of hours and the kind of topics which we had covered. This is just a screenshot for your convenience. I have posted. You can also learn this course in video modes. So those who have kind of very fast rush, you really want to get started working on these things, learn these things much faster, and you want kind of a crash course. In that case, you please go with video mode of training. Live training is for the people who want to come live on the live basis and then want to learn this on regular basis. So in that case, you go with live, but you can also go with pure video mode of training. Both options simultaneously not possible. Anyways, those who are going with live training, after the class, you will get the video of the class. And that video you can watch to recall the things which I taught you in the class and to practice this. Regarding the systems, we will also discuss in one of our unit dedicatedly on system. What are all the options for you guys have to get access to the system, and you can then accordingly decide the options which I will offer you for the systems, and then accordingly you can also start building things and practicing things in the system. I will also let you know the requirement for the system side. What is that bare minimum components you should have in your company to be able to utilize your own company system for practicing the stuff in the system. And it's a weekend batch, so we'll have only the weekend classes. With that, it's a wrap on today's session. Thank you so much for taking your time once again. I am very, very glad to see all of you. And you can already go and check out a lot of YouTube, interesting YouTube videos, absolutely free on my YouTube channel, Anubhav Oberoi, and you can see a lot of ABAP on HANA free videos, demo videos for your learning, a lot of advanced videos for this stuff like UI5 Fiori. If you have not seen this video, I strongly recommend you to please go and watch this video at least. How to become SAP full stack developer, learning map, what should be the learning map for you in today's context, what is bare minimum you should learn if you are in the world of SAP as a technical consultant, or not just a technical these days, even the functional consultant, they are asking a lot of stuff. You can always must watch this video. Please spare some time, 30 minutes of video. It's going to give you great learning. What is the salary prospect for the people? What does the survey result says? What should be the good practice? What are all the things you should target in near future for your learning? Today, the biggest problem is everybody is just talking. In your company, when you go to your company, you would observe that people will be just keep on talking. CDS is coming, S4 HANA is coming, Fiori is coming, but nobody gives you direction. What is the right direction to learn these things? So in my channel, you will get a complete direction, and you would also get a faith and a signed contract saying that no copy paste. Never learn from trainers who do copy paste of code, guys. I'm sure some of you would have already tried out with other institutes and kind of unsuccessfully dropped out your plan for learning because maybe the trainer was not able to give you the right guidance, not able to connect with you. Passion is missing for teaching. Anubhav has come to this training industry to because of Anubhav's passion, guys. I did not come to training industry just because I didn't have any other option to do. I have I have struggled a lot in my own learning, guys, and that's when I've decided the struggle which I have gone through in my learnings. I had no one to guide me. I will not let that happen with anybody else. This is the reason my direction is clear, and you can see I also do a lot of free learning videos. You can join this annual learning series. It's absolutely free on internet. But again, this is something which you can only understand when your basics are so strong. You know. If your basics are so strong, then definitely this learning series will help you absolutely free, available on my website. Please go and watch out. There are a lot of topics, and many of you have come back to me with a lot of things. I do publish a lot of free videos on YouTube. You can always go and check out my channel. You can go and always check out the YouTube channel, the website for the details and the course information. With that, thank you so much once again watching this video. If you think this video is helpful, please share this with your friends, colleagues. Also subscribe to the channel if you have not done that, because there are a lot of free videos coming, such powerful videos on the internet. With this YouTube channel, you will miss out those videos if you forget to subscribe on the channel. Thank you so much once again. Have a nice day and see you in the batch from tomorrow onwards.